Andrew,
Hey,
morning.
morning.
Good to see you again, mate.
See you too.
It was good to see you on Tuesday night the other week.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was really good.
What was the most enjoyable part about it?
The connections with people, like meeting some really good people that are driven and inspired. So it's always nice being around that energy.
Do you like the food?
Yeah, the food was good. Yeah.
I was worried. I was really worried at one point.
How was that?
Well, you know, when the pasta came out, and then there was that really big long gap between the pasta and the second course.
Yeah.
I was thinking, damn, have we just ordered pasta? So I was in my head thinking, oh, this could be a massive disaster. I was waiting for like a litany of complaints. Anyway, as it turned out, some nice steak came along afterwards. So, yeah, look, Lyndon from Nolita runs a really tight ship. He runs a very good show. But that was why I wanted to choose that venue. That was exactly why I wanted to book it out to be completely private, just for us. I guess so people could just fully relax, like you say, amongst a group of people
Yeah.
like themselves. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's a nice thing, right?
Didn't notice the food. The conversation was great.
You didn't notice it? Well, mate, remember, I'm responsible for it. So, of course, I'm a bit, hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
I did get to a point. I sent Hayley a text saying, is there another course coming? She said yes. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to leave it in the lap of the gods now. Yeah. Mate, thanks for coming along today.
Thank you.
Why don't you, I know all about your business, but why don't you tell me about your business? Give me the 5-minute version from the ground up.
Yeah, so my background's a little bit like yours in the sense that I came from a software background and was...
Sorry about that.
Well, yeah, I think it's a good grounding for understanding systems and processes and understanding the nuts and bolts of how things work. And so I was working on building an app. Things happened within that particular organisation and was
it
looking
your
around.
business or?
No, I was building this on behalf of another group of people.
Right.
And it was an accounting app. And at the time, I was chatting with one of the directors of that business, who's a CA. We were talking about where the world is heading. And at that time, I was on a bit of a sabbatical in between things. So I was in New York for a little bit, just hanging out with some friends there, and ended up...
Sorry, put me in the calendar. What year is this?
It's sort of been late 2012, 2013.
Okay, all right.
And flying the wall of these organisations, and they were just cool.
And New York had a big startup scene at that stage,
Yeah,
didn't it?
really did. And this is going to sound really shallow, but I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these owners and these founders that are driven and passionate to do something with purpose. And in my mind, what I saw, like that's where I ended up and realised that that's what I was. But in that time, what I saw and what I really loved was the fact that there's someone walking around barefoot with a dog in this massive warehouse-style office with these people that just love the shit out of what they do.
Why does that sound shallow? Out of pure interest?
Because what I noticed first was how it looked rather than how it felt. And what I came to realise afterwards that how it felt was the most important part of all of that. It wasn't about the barefoot, it wasn't about the dog, it was about the feeling of doing something driven with purpose. And I came back and I remember hopping on the phone to the accountant, saying to him...
This is the guy that ran the business you were running.
The other one, yeah. Saying to him, I want to start something that has this feel. I want to start something that feels like we're doing something that's meaningful and doing something that's changing the world in some way. And at the time, Xero was just starting to hit the market, wasn't well known, but we were building cloud-based accounting software. So seeing someone else building cloud-based accounting software, you pay attention to their marketing, to their pitch deck, how they go into market. And so I was following closely what they were doing and thought, these guys are the real deal. They're onto something here. They're going to change the world in some way, and we want to be a part of that. So we took our expertise in managing teams within trust accounting and property accounting and rolled out the same sort of business doing the general accounting, the general bookkeeping, financial teams for small businesses. And that was kind of where it started.
This is Digit.
This is Digit.
So tell me, outside in, I could say to you, that's just a boring bookkeeping business, and I know it's not. How are you changing the world? How are you getting that feel from the barefoot, dog man to the changing the world? So you transition from the look to the feel. How are you inculcating that feel, or how are you experiencing that feeling through Digit? What are you doing that's changing the world inside Digit?
So at the early in the early days of the business, the conversations were around technology adoption and simply moving towards real-time financial figures, be in a position to make better decisions. At that time, the systems were fragmented. MYOB wasn't a great solution for small businesses. It didn't give them the information they needed. And the industry as well just fell asleep. That people were just crunching numbers, pushing buttons, and not really thinking about how that gets used or how it can be done better.
MYOB was like Word perfect
Yeah.
to Word, MYOB to Xero. Was it that, I don't know if you're old enough to remember the old Word perfect with the codes and all that sort of strange stuff that you used to have to do. And then you moved into Word and it was all, WYSIWYG, and you could just highlight something and bold it. Xero's got that same feel to it.
It was had a great interface and was a frictionless experience. And that was the thing that we felt, if you get past the fact that it's accounting and you engage business owners in being able to use the numbers in some way, then you're a little bit further forward.
But even things like, spend money, like it doesn't have things like journal entry, spend money. Like it was all written in a way that was very, very approachable for non-accountants, right?
Yeah. There was another cloud-based platform that was around at the same time. And
was it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Most people won't remember it, but it's called Sasu.
Okay.
And so they were one of the early cloud-based accounting platforms in Australia, but they were for accountants by accountants, and the terminology and the way in which you did things was around accounting concepts rather than the small business owner lens. And they're not around anymore, or at least I don't think they are. And so the lesson I took away from all of that is that as long as you have the focus on the people you serve, on the customers, the clients, then that's all you need to care about, because the rest takes care of itself.
What do you love about being in business?
When I first started, I loved coding and I loved sitting behind a computer and not talking to people. And then started the business, and by virtue of business being business and wearing all the different hats, ended up managing people and not enjoying it at the start. But over the last 12 years, the thing that I've realised I enjoy the most is seeing their growth and their journey, their evolution through the business. And, someone starting as this shy, quiet person who's capable, has a great mindset, great attitude, wants to grow, but then seeing them grow.
Is that you or is that your staff?
The staff.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a bit like you as well.
Yeah.
I know you as a very introverted guy. So I would imagine that managing people and, being at the pointy end of the business is not something that you do naturally. It's not something that you would lean on. It's something that you would almost have to force yourself to do. So it's interesting that you've learned to love that.
Yeah, it's not something that I wanted to do, and it's something that was necessary to do because that's what the business needed, and that I made peace with that years ago.
It's interesting what you speak about, the journey with a staff member. As the manager and the leader, it's 100% on you. Like, it's your job to maximise their performance. It's actually not their job. Like a football coach, their job is to get the most out of their players. It's not to just say to the players, follow the game plan. It doesn't work like that, right? So it's the same with staff. And ultimately, if you can't maximise somebody's performance to the extent that they're doing what you need them in the business, you need to liberate them from the business. I think people think I've hired, I paid, therefore. And that triangulation doesn't actually add up, Just because you've hired, just because you paid, doesn't always equate to they will perform. It is on you to make sure they perform. So it's interesting that you've noted that.
Yeah. Whenever something happens within the business where someone's not, like a mistake has been made or someone's not where we want them to be, the question I always ask myself is, where have we contributed to that? Is it a lack of training? Is it a lack of structure? Is it a lack of expectation? What's the gap? And then what can we do to bridge that gap? So it's always a case of reflecting back on where have we contributed to the outcome for this person and their growth. And sometimes we've done everything possible and it's still not working out. And then it's like, well, they're not a good fit.
We've got to move them on.
Yeah.
Because it's best for them. Look, I mean, I kind of simplify that in my own mind. I always just think it's all on me. It's all on me. And if I can think it's all on me, I find that to be way more liberating than sitting around saying, why are they not doing this? And there's a reason they're not. You just got to find it. Like, it does come back to a bit of that software engineering mindset of everything's a problem, everything has a solution. All we need to do is just iterate the solutions, or the solutions that we try, until we find the one that works.
Yeah.
And sometimes the one that works is to move them on. I'd say, in all honesty, I would imagine that that's probably no greater than 25% in a business. The situations where management solves an issue and leadership solves an issue versus the situations where it's been a mishire, I'd say it's management is 75, mishire is 25.
Yeah.
And if you've got those ratios wrong, like you're either hiring very, very poorly or you're not managing well enough. It's not really that complicated. So what do you hate about this? So what you love is seeing people grow. What's the thing that makes your hair fall out? That's a joke. That was a joke.
That's funny.
I could say what makes my hair go grey. Obviously a lot. No, what's the thing that really frustrates you about business?
I love the team that I have. And
How big is the team?
so it's 30
yep.
of us. And I've deliberately hired for mindset, for attitude, for reliability, for consistency. And the type of person that you need in managing the accounts for a business needs to have all of those traits. And I'm a little bit different in the sense that I'm always like, let's go. And so there's always that tension between wanting to move fast and try new things and experiment and go hard. And then this sort of slow and steady machine that is designed to be slow and steady, but creates that sense of tension. And so sometimes I get frustrated in things not moving as fast as I want, but also needing to then adjust to suit where people are at and what they need to be able to shift them. So that's been a consistent thing over the years. And also managing.
Did you expect them all to move at your speed?
I don't expect them to at all. I hope they do, but they don't. And that's
Well, why do you even hope they do?
Yeah, that's a good point. They never will, in the sense that the thing that I value about them is the thing that they are slow, steady, high attention to detail, making sure that everything gets ticked off, everything's done to a high degree, to a high standard. Those same traits are the things that stop people breaking things and experimenting as much as what I like.
And I'd also say, like, it's your business. No one's going to work as hard as you.
Yeah.
My view is if I can get someone to work 80% as hard as I do, that's a damn good outcome. So I always forgive people the 20% gap. I'll probably forgive up to 40%, to be honest, because if I hired someone that's going to work like me and at my rate, the likelihood is I have to hire someone very similar to me, which probably means I'm just training a competitor. So, you know, I'm okay with the fact 60 to 80%, that's a pretty damn good outcome. So, yeah, I kind of question this idea that everyone should be as motivated and as charged up and as hard charging as the leader, because I don't think, one, you want that, and two, you can expect it.
Yeah, and that's what I've come to terms with over the years, is that it won't move as fast as I do, and that's okay. I need to make peace with that, and I'm always feeling that tension.
The perfect metaphor for business is a tsunami. Which is like just you're pushing forward on a number of fronts. I know a tsunami moves very fast on water, but as soon as it hits land, it doesn't move that fast, right? But when it hits land, it's just this massive front that's just kind of consuming everything in front of it versus chucking rocks at a monster. Because it doesn't really matter how hard you throw the rocks at the monster, you're never really going to do anything but glance at the monster, right? So having that mindset in your business, like this is a tsunami, we've just got to keep on pushing forward on all of these fronts, and they've all got to be effective. You as the leader have to be the orchestrator of that tsunami versus encouraging everyone to chuck rocks, because inevitably they'll all chuck them in different directions and they'll try this heroic effort of throwing the rocks really hard, and eventually you get tired when you're not making any dent in the monster's threat to you as a business. Tell me what stresses you the most about business.
Still the managing people part when things aren't going to plan. It's been the biggest area of growth for me in taking a step back and letting go of my expectations and being clear in what I do want from people and where are they at and what's planned out for them and what are all the things that I don't know about their world right now that's leading to this particular thing that I'm seeing, and having conversations about it earlier, faster, gentler.
With the team.
Yeah, with the team.
Yep.
And those conversations and managing people are still difficult. It's still, especially when I don't understand why something's going sideways and you can see it playing out, and you know, you're making a call in terms of, is this someone that we can manage, that will grow, that will improve, or is this a sign of a continuation? Am I going to keep getting the same thing? In which case, at what point do I call it? I think that decision is always difficult.
Yeah, well, it's always the final judgment, right? Yeah, because I just look for the daily increments. I don't look for big steps in anyone. I look for daily increments. And what am I now? A long time, let's just call it that. A long time managing people. I was managing a Pizza Hut store when I was 18. I struggled then, and I struggled today to understand what is the point where you're investing and getting no return.
Yeah.
And I would say typically it's a sustained period of not even sideways. I can deal with sideways. I can't deal with, going backwards.
Yeah.
So if I'm seeing people incrementally going backwards, or their efforts dipped, or their, passion is dipped, and I look for the unguarded words as well. Like I'm always looking for the words between the words. So an example of that for me is when somebody stops communicating about a problem using the context of us or we, and they start saying you, in my head they've checked out. Because they're not, it's your problem all of a sudden, because the unguarded words are, it's your problem, it's not mine anymore. So I look for those little things, but it's more I just look for those, that kind of gradual decline. I'll have a couple of pinch points along the way. And then there's a time I just have to make a call and say, it's enough, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't think it's reasonable for you, I don't think it's reasonable for me, it's certainly not reasonable for my client. So let's part company.
What sits in the back of my mind a lot of the time in these conversations as well is that for every person that I'm managing to support their growth and putting time and energy into, there's a whole bunch of top performers here that aren't getting the love that also need to be
100%.
Acknowledged and held. And
Yeah, it's like the 20% poor performers are blowing it up for the 80% superstars.
Yeah.
And they're not getting what they should get, which is kind of like that, I don't know, what do you call it, nourishment or enrichment.
Yeah.
I separate leadership and management. And I'm very, very clear about separating those two things. It typically robs you the ability to lead the superstars who need less management because you're spending so much time either supervising or managing underperformers. And like 20% of people are occupying 80% of your... It's not even your time, it's your attention.
Yeah.
Which is a very difficult thing to find more of. You have a finite amount of attention, and you can't hire another person to outsource some of your attention. Like it's the thing that's only uniquely you. If you're happy to say so, and you can mask it behind percentages or you can mask it behind sort of more generic goals, play the tape forward 5 years. What's the goal of the business in 5 years? Where do you want to take it?
it's a combination of things, and it's changing at the moment because of, I guess, the opportunity and threat of AI is changing the lens through which we're making decisions right now. There's almost like a couple of different pathways ahead of us. One is to continue scaling and growing and refine our craft and just jump on the leading edge of the change and adapt with it. And along that pathway, I'd love to get to, at the moment we're at 30, I'd love to get to 100 people and probably stop at that point and have the business about 5 times the revenue of what it is now. And the reason for that, it's not growth for growth's sake, but I love the idea of being able to, I love the complex work. Mm-hmm. Some of our best work is in the complex space, and a business that size can tackle anything complex. And so we get the opportunity then to work with larger businesses, to build out larger teams for people, to do stuff that's interesting. It'll give me capacity to bring on...
There'll be some people watching this. What does complex work mean in your context?
Franchise groups, family groups,
Okay, right.
Multi-entity setups.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, when you're making sense of not just one business, but multiple businesses that all tie together in some way. Larger businesses, our largest clients tracking for about 100 mil revenue at the moment, and we're the finance team supporting a CFO within that organisation. Businesses like that have more complexity. There's volume challenges, there's complexity of transaction challenges, there's just interesting stuff that comes from working with those types of businesses, and I enjoy that kind of work because they're interesting challenges. Mm-hmm. It's a different scale of problem than working with, say, a sole trader where, you know, they're wearing multiple different hats and you're doing what you can to support, but you don't have as much space or leverage to be able to really change things for them in the way in which we want to be able to. Whereas when there's a bit more runway, we have more capacity to do some cool stuff.
What does runway mean?
Just more space and time, more budget, more and resources around us as well. So when we're working in a larger business as part of their team, as their partner, they have resources internally that also want to achieve the same thing. And so there's a really cool partnership that develops from that.
Okay, so change is a constant, yeah? Mm-hmm. Like you've been in business for X, and for that period of time, change has been happening the whole time. Sure, AI is coming along. Like, let's just park that for the time being. I know you want to have a chat about that, but boil that goal down to me to something that a 10-year-old can understand, because as you've articulated it to me, I hear a lot of words, I don't hear a lot of specificity. And you're a software engineer.
So what specifically?
Well, what does the goal look like?
The goal.
What is the goal in, let's say, June 30, 2020, 2030?
The goal is to be the best business of our kind in Australia.
Isn't that the vision? What's the goal? Like, you know what SMART goals, don't you? Specific, measurable, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
What would that look like as a goal?
I can frame it in that sense, right? And this is what's playing out. I can frame it in that sense of saying, well, you know, by this time, 2030, we'll be 5 times our revenue. We'll have a team of 100. We'll be the best at our craft in Australia, working with larger businesses, typically within at that point in time, probably the 10 to 20 mil range, as our average client at the moment is 1 to 10.
What lights your fires? You're a fields-based guy.
Yeah.
What lights your fires?
Personally, this is the thing. Like, the thing that I love is having the freedom to just experiment and mess around with things and try new ideas and learn. So,
Can I highlight a risk in that?
yeah, yeah,
You can have 100 people
Yeah.
chucking rocks at monsters.
yeah,
Because no one knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
No one knows why they're doing it.
Yeah.
What's the tsunami? Like the tsunami's got to do something and go somewhere, yeah? In the business context. Given that there is so much change afoot, and again, like, people have not been aware of it because it hasn't leaked into the media. It doesn't constitute clickbait or rage bait. But, like, just look at the shift from on-premise client-server technology to cloud-based technology. That was a gargantuan change.
Yeah.
Look at the shift from paper and fax-based transmission of data to email transmission of data. Look at how big a change that was. It was ridiculous. And yes, I'm carbon dating myself, but I was in business before email came around. Like, a fax was not an unusual thing in a business. So, you know, like, now to find a fax, it would be the weirdest thing in history to see a fax in a business. You'd be thinking, what have I just gone backwards in time? So change is afoot. And, you know, like, you know that saying, where you want radical change, you must provide radical stability. The most fundamentally important piece of radical stability is, what's the point on the horizon that we're all moving to? Now, you want the freedom to, you know, experiment and play. Okay, chapeau, you're the business owner, you can do what you want. You're also deploying resources, comma, space, in order to achieve X. Now, I don't think, you know, I would be really, really specific about understanding what that goal looks like. Because once you dig into that, I mean, you've just thrown a few vectors around there, which one is a revenue goal, one is a headcount goal, one is a change of market goal, one is prospectively a change of service. You haven't even buttoned those things down.
yeah,
And you've got 30 staff now.
yeah,
It just becomes a risk of, where's this thing going? And you take it from 30 to 50, and the complexity that comes into the business and the confusion that enters your mind whenever everyone's off chasing a different monster,
yeah.
it's too hard to deal with.
I feel that this period of time is almost an inflection point where there's a lot of change taking place externally. There's a lot of change in what is being asked of us. So there's technology change driving things. There's a lot of conversations around what's required from people for the future. And there's a couple of different pathways open. One pathway is to look to sell the business, to move it on and create a new business that is aligned with where the future's headed. So start again. One is to keep growing the existing business and hopefully transition it into providing the services we think will be needed in the future, helping people in the way in which we think they'll need to be helped in the future. And there's a lot of unknowns there because of grappling with the rate of change, grappling with what does this mean? How is AI practically going to affect our work? How are changes in the regulatory side going to impact our work? There's a lot of unknowns to navigate. So you're right. I do have a lack of clarity around what the future looks like. There's something I want aspirationally, but it's hard to see clearly for me at the moment.
You just mentioned aspiration, and you're letting your vision, like your aspiration, get clouded by all of these things that are happening, right? Now, let me give you some comfort. and something to be conscious of. The surface area of change is not that great. It's the progress of change in that surface area that is really, really unprecedented, right? So I want you to just suspend disbelief. I want you to pretend the world is as it was. What does that aspiration look like?
Through what lens?
Well, I'm going to say the same thing. What does a leader ultimately do? We're going there.
Yeah.
Follow me.
Yeah.
That's what a leader does.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of going, well, we could go a whole lot of places, guys. Let's have a crack at it. Everyone's going to choose their own path.
Yeah.
Humans like simplicity. You're familiar with decision fatigue.
Yeah.
For every extra decision you give a person, they are exponentially less likely to make any decision. So what do people end up doing in that environment when there's no clarity, when there's more decisions to
Yeah,
make?
it creates instability. Yeah.
Well, what doesn't even create instability? People just let the rope go and they roll up to work and just do the do and then pack up and go home. There's no passion. So it takes all the passion out of your business. Like, you really want everyone to be really passionate. So I don't know. You don't need to talk about it today. You clearly need to do some thinking about it. I would button this whole thing down to a singular goal. Because once you've got a singular goal, then you can identify pathways to achieve that goal. And then you can assess all of those pathways. And through that lens, you're saying, well, that's the most viable given everything that's on the horizon now. I think we know mostly what the next 10 to 15 years looks like. Well, again, like, go back in time and find me a period in your life where you planned anything for 10 to 15 years. You've typically planned something like a 3-year and a 1 year. Now, in 3 years, there'll be some big changes, but we know the surface area. We know where those changes are going to be constrained to. We mostly know. What you don't know yet is, where are you going and what's the most viable pathway to get you there, which includes things like, what are you passionate about? What do you love doing? You know, what do you think you can do with the capability of the business? All of those sorts of things are included in that mix. But I still think that it boils down to the same things that businesses have been doing for 1,000 years. Nothing has changed that much. Like, the environment of business hasn't radically changed. Elon Musk talks about the fact that money will be useless and, you know, the only true currency will be, what does he talk about? Power generation. So power, electrons, will be a true currency. And I can't remember what the other one is. I think it's like compute. Like, they become the only true currencies.
Yeah.
Because in an age of artificial superintelligence that, you know, the machines won't recognise fiat currency. Okay, fine. Well, fine, if that's the case, kind of like we're all screwed and we just have to leave it in the lap of the gods. But I would suggest to you, look at the onslaught of e-commerce. That was all, I remember I was there, 1999. Within 18 months, every single physical retailer is going to be out of business and e-com is going to take over everything. How's that going? 26 years later. Like, the technology can change, society doesn't change that quickly. So I do think there's and if it changes that quickly, like, because I really don't know what the extent of this is, but if it does change that quickly, there's going to be such massive civil unrest that, like, the humans are going to rise up against the robots. And I know this all sounds absurd, but I hear all this stuff. I read all this stuff on Twitter and the news and listen to all this kind of like highly dystopian views of the future or highly utopic views of the future. You know, we're all going to sit around and do nothing and have complete abundance. Why? Humans don't operate like that.
Yeah.
We're not configured that way.
Yeah.
And if it was that way, the unrest would be immense. So, like, while we can, we'll unplug the damn things. If you just put that in the science fiction bucket and drill it down to the practical, pick a path, pick an end state and pick the most viable path and go there. I would really button down what those goals are if I were you. Really button down those goals. Because you've already told me what you're passionate about. You've already told me what frustrates you. You can't tell me clearly where the business is going. And I'd say that's a gap, if I'm going to be frank.
That's fair.
Because 30 people don't know where the hell the business is going. The guy that's running the business doesn't know where it's going. And then from that, you draw a pathway.
I think I know where I want to get the business to. I'm stuck in this how to get there.
The pathway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I would drill that down to like a 10-word sentence that you can articulate to the team. Because what's the essence of advertising? It's kind of like brainwashing, right? If you want to think about it really cynically. But it's repetition so people assimilate that message. If you can't say this is where we're going in 30-second sound bites at the same frequency that someone like Bunnings, everyday low prices, everyday low prices, everyday low prices, Bunnings repeats ad nauseum. Nike, just do it, just do it, just do it. Why do I know those things? I'm not particularly smart. I have heard those things so many times. You go back to the Tony Abbott election campaign. When was that? 2014? 12 years ago. Turn back the boats, balance the budget, repeal the taxes. Why do I know that? Because he said it so many times. Turn back the boats, balance the budget, repeal the taxes. So what's that? 4, 3, and 3. It's 10 words. There you go. Something that you can repeat, that someone can say to you 12 years later. Like if your team don't have that, we are going here because of this. We are going here because of this. Now, as a part of all of that, nailing down who you genuinely can service.
Yeah.
What's the end state? Who is it that you can genuinely service? I think it's radically important to understand how many of those there are. Because if it's not a viable market, don't waste your time. Who can you genuinely service? Is it a viable market? And then the third tier of thought that I would always think about is what's something, there's two parts of this, that's unique and valuable. Right? Where do you add value in a unique way to this market because there's enough of them to achieve what I want to achieve, if you want to reverse it out, right? That's how I'd find that pathway.
At the moment, what we add is a multidisciplinary team-based approach, right? That's what makes us different to people at the moment, is the fact that we can scale to support businesses as they scale and grow. So someone that's at that 1 mil to 10 mil phase wanting to break out of that, we can add people into the mix and change that mix in order to support, and that makes us very different to a lot of other people in our space.
Bookkeeping businesses.
Yeah. And that's our strength at the moment. The threat to that is
I can roll up with infinite agents.
Yeah. But the reality at the moment and the reality today is that that's not going to play out too well.
Like there's a lot of shit results at the minute.
At the moment.
Yes.
But also,
but we know that's going to get better.
Businesses are disorganized.
Yes.
And the people that we support, the reason.
The variability of business, right?
Yeah.
Because the shoebox full of receipts.
Yeah. So there's a lot of manual process that can't be automated in any way. And so that still presents opportunity for a little while. When open banking comes in, things start becoming more standardized, things become more digitized, there's less manual process in play. That's when the work starts shifting in a big way.
What's the time frame for open banking?
They've been talking about it for years.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it hasn't been...
This is what I mean. Like,
I know. Things always take longer than you think.
There's grand promises and then there's complexity, right? Yeah. Like I remember in early 2024, ASIC was going to make all company searches free and abundantly available. It's March 2026 and you've still got that thing that looks like it was built by Bedouin monks in the 1800s writing code. Like it's the most terrible thing in history. And you're still paying $15 for a company search. Yeah. There's still a point of friction, right? Like you just can't go and throw a scraper at the ASIC database and say, like, download all the company reg, find me all the directors. Like you can't do that. Yeah. So, like we all know that just the effluxion of time and effort means that these things ultimately get solved. Like we are slowly organising all the world's data. Slowly, right? And one day there'll be a tipping point where there's enough data that's organised that people go, stuff the other stuff, who cares, right? I still think, like, if you were to say that this agentic approach is somewhere in the next 5 years and then, like, you're reduced to the disorganised part of business, I'd still be thinking about where's the unique value. Let me give you a good example of this. And I can only talk to my business, right? So I don't want to sort of like spruik my business, but I'll talk to my business. Well, I'm a business coach. Everything I teach is abundantly available and has been available for I don't know, 10 years. But people have to know what to search. People have to know what to go and look for. People need to understand the problem. Often people don't. Like, you have some unique training in that you went through software dev, which teaches you as much as anything about problem solving. Business owners tend to just kind of like go, where's the franchise-like solution? What's the off-the-shelf solution that I can just implement, rather than actually going through a process of diagnostics and stuff. Anyway, so the content's abundant and free. It's relatively free. Like everything I teach, you could probably buy in, 30 books at the cost of $3,500. Like realistically, that's free, right? Then what's the unique thing I can add as a coach? Because what I see in the market is most coaches are selling content. And I think that's a really risky thing to sell because it's getting less and less valuable.
Yeah.
So what do I bring to the table that's unique? Well, the stuff I teach is stuff I've implemented. I've walked into enough knives to say to people, if you do that, I know a lot of books say it, here is real lived experience, right? That's a unique thing. So I don't outsource any coaching. Even in my group coaching program, I do all the coaching. The second part is a human set of eyes looking at, have they developed some sort of model to show how their business can make money? Have they turned that into a plan and are they executing on it? Some eyes on that and some support if they're not. Because how does free content provide that? It doesn't. And then the third pillar of what I provide now is way more opportunities to interact with other humans. So I've turned from a content business, which is what my group coaching program was only 12 months ago, to a way more human type business.
Yeah.
And I will continue leaning on those experiences. And I'll tell you what actually motivated me to do that. The Saudis.
What do you mean?
The Saudis are investing something like $30 trillion globally. And, they've got so much money and it's difficult to invest big chunks of money to get meaningful returns. So they put smart people on it, right? I kind of go, well, I don't need to do the thinking. The Saudis have got the smartest people doing the thinking. They are pouring inordinate amounts of money into experience-based businesses. So they're all over hospitality. They're all over like tourism. They're all over live events. Like live events, that's where they're tipping all their money. What does live mean? Human to human. So I went, if the Saudis are doing that, they're seeing something I'm not. And it's like, it's the human element. And in my head, it was like, money is going to become abundant if all the experts are to be believed. Within 10 years, the global economy is going to be 10 times its current size. So to put that into some sort of financial terms, current global economy, 110 trillion. In 10 years, $1.1 quadrillion. That just means everyone's got 10 times as much money. Like being a billionaire is going to be like being a millionaire today. People are going to have a lot of money. They're not going to have that much stuff to do. So lots of money, we're going to go find things to do. That's what we'll end up doing, because that's what we do. We have done for history. Why is that going to change because there's some super smart thing doing the doing? We're going to go and find opportunities to interact with humans. So what do? I know who my market is. I know who my constituency is. I'm going to provide opportunities for them to interact with other people in really high quality environments. There's an example of, if I continue doing the doing, which is the coaching stuff, I think within 2 years, 3 years, I'm redundant. I think I can build an extraordinarily viable business, being very focused on this people-to-people side of it, supporting people, providing opportunities for connections. I'm still going to do the coaching. I'm just not going to rely on that as the unique value piece, because it's not the unique value piece. It's completely abundant and it's worth nothing. Alex Hormozi's just invested $100 million or whatever it is into that school thing. Every single coach in the world is putting all their content on school. Like, you can get all the content that I teach. Arguably, I'd say I do it better, but it's only realistically fractionally better in a realistic setting versus the support. I can do it world-class level. The connections, I think I can do it world-class level. So again, I'd be thinking about how do you, there's unique value. And it kind of takes thinking about your business. I wouldn't consider myself a coaching business anymore. I'd consider myself like a community of people that offers specific channels of benefit. That's how I'd consider the business.
Yeah.
It's still business coaching. Why? Because people relate to that term. But underneath the hood, it's a different beast. It's a very, very different beast. So I'd be kind of thinking about that.
Was rumbling around the idea a couple of weeks ago with another practice owner over east, and the idea of a membership based, like it's completely a different model, but the idea of a membership, a little bit like a golf club, where you pay a fee to be a part of this community, right? And the community is the key draw card. And I mean, I know that for us, we work with some amazing people, some amazing businesses, and we're all like-minded, and that's, you know, like finds like, right? And so there's an opportunity there to go along that path and build a community for the business. And again, the thing that I get stuck on is like, there's business as usual, then there's this stuff that we could do, this stuff that we could do.
What does your planning cycle look like?
Oh, it's changing dynamically at the moment.
That's not planning.
It's 3 months. It's quarterly.
Okay.
It's quarterly at the moment.
But what does it look like? What are you actually planning to do?
Yeah. So a lot of it is more. The main focus at the moment is on shifting the team to get away from the business as usual stuff to free up time to be able to reskill. That's the focus at the moment, and for the next 3 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'd get very like unique and valuable. Now, my community is completely unique. I've looked at all the communities. It's unique, in actual fact, because of the core, which is the coaching. And coaching, forget coaching even. Like, coaching always implies content, a system that you're buying of somebody. It's not. It's actually helping people perform. It's that piece there which is helping people perform, which is the linchpin between the content, teaching the content, and the community. Helping people perform is the kind of the unique piece, right? And it's very, very difficult to do that in an automated fashion. Extremely difficult. What's the unique and valuable thing? So you can, you know, like, and I'm not saying this to be disparaging, but like, you can throw around concepts of community, that's fine. But it's unique and valuable. Otherwise, you're just sticking your head up against every other community offering that's out there, and there's plenty, right? So how do you create a unique and valuable X? I'd be very, very certain around that. And until you were really certain, I wouldn't even drop that into the planning cycle. I'd actually maximize what's in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, I'd just be saying, guys, you need to ignore this AI thing for the time being. Let me think about that. I need you performing doing this. Like, I don't think there's such a thing as balance. People talk about this grand idea of balance. That implies that you're going to do one thing less to do one thing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, just be brilliant at the bookkeeping piece. Get that absolutely nailed up, so it's one problem off your plate.
And it's been the way since midway through last year, is a reimagining of the business around just excellence has been what we're aiming for internally. That's slowly shifting within the business. And that's freed us up a little bit more to be able to look at how can we automate, can we just automate the shit out of all of our work? How can we streamline as much as possible to give more time, right? Because if we can free up time in the team, then that allows us to reskill. So it's a bit of a progressive approach, but that's essentially been the strategy, is to support the team to be the best at what we can do at what we do. Then with the time that we have available to us, automate it as much as we can to then free up time to be able to.
Yeah, and I'd set that benchmark slightly differently. Excellence is subjective, world-class is objective. You, particularly, your business, you are in a global market. I could compete with you from Mars. So you need to be thinking, how can I be the best in the world?
Yeah.
Or, you know, at least equal to the best in the world. Because if you're local and best in the world, that's a kind of a zero friction proposition. If you're local and second, third best in the world, then other people just enter your market. And it's super easy to do what you do from anywhere.
Yeah, 100%.
So you need to be best in the world. Same, I need to be best in the world. And I don't put myself in the same category. Please don't think about it this way. I compete with Alex Hormozi, Dan Martell. Dan Martell's Canada, Alex Hormozi's USA, probably in a tiny part, someone like Tony Robbins. All these guys are best in the world. So it's like, well, that's a simple thought process. It's difficult to do it. I've got to continue chasing their standards, because Tony Robbins does a 2-day workshop for free. Well, it's hard to compete with free. It's really hard to compete with free. And what's AI ultimately going to do? Make all the doing free.
Yeah.
Right, so unique and valuable, world's best, become the three things to consider. But for the time being, I'm not suggesting ignoring the coming onslaught of AI. I'm talking about somebody being completely focused on that to the extent that your team don't think about it. They've got to be focused on being the world's best.
Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, internally the theme of the year is excellence, but what I want is world class. And
So go put a big red line through excellence and write world class.
That's the penny drop moment for me, is going, you know what, I just need to reframe that for the whole team, because that's actually exactly what I want.
Have you read Animal Farm?
No.
Oh man, it's the world's best book. Basically it's George Orwell's kind of prosecution on how socialism fails, or communism, I think, in those days. Anyway, the pigs used to write these things. The pigs ran the farm, when they took over the farm from the farmer, and they used to write these like slogans on the wall. And it started out as 2 legs bad, 4 legs better. Four legs good, 2 legs bad, or something like that. And then the pigs ended up wanting to learn how to walk on 2 legs, so they crossed out 2 legs bad, 4 legs better. They crossed it out to 4 legs good, 2 legs better. Or something like that. They just kept on changing all of the slogans. That was all like a thing about how in those totalitarian regimes, you know, like they control the message so hard, and they're so blatant about contradicting previous things, they can just put a red line through it. But I think there is some sort of symbolism in just putting a red line through excellence and writing the word world class, because it's almost like you saying to the team, I think I made a mistake. We cannot rely on excellence. We've got to rely on world class.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave the word excellence as a reminder to myself, but also a reminder to everybody here that we're competing against Martians.
Yeah.
Maybe don't use the word Martians,
But yeah, we're competing against I mean, that's always been the stance of the business from the point of view of starting it and building the team offshore from the beginning, because it was a case of where are the best people in the world, or what we need, what are the skills that we need, and where are the best people for it.
bingo. You started global, but you're talking about excellence, which is just, I think I'm excellent. Versus I'm up against a verifiable benchmark, the best in the world.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how you're going to really benchmark that. I don't know, but I'm surely there is a way which you can define what world-class looks like, and you can say we are the best in the world at it, because you can't afford not to be. Currently, you're competing in a global market. Very soon, you're competing against machines that are going to be 1,000 times better than you. I would say use the machines to drive your productivity.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding that, find the thing that's unique and valuable. I don't know if the community thing is going to get you home. I don't know. But I would encourage you to go and have a look at the Palantir business model.
Yeah.
Have you pulled that apart?
I haven't.
Guess what it is? Everyone says it's an AI business. Alex Karp spoke the other day about what it is. It's a people business. It ain't an AI business at all. They're just using other people's tool chains. It's a people business. It's a consulting practice.
Yeah.
Like, it's a people business. There's something that's held up as the leading light in AI is not. It's a people business. So the guys at the bleeding edge of this stuff, they are relying on people. Tesla's workforce is 160,000 people. And Elon Musk is hiring more. Why? If people are going to be redundant. Now, maybe he knows something that we don't. Maybe he's just using that as a bridge to get him to like dark factories and all that sort of stuff. I don't know, mate. Well, I can't even think about that. What I can say is that there is no way known from my view of the world that the people-to-people thing is going to disappear.
Yeah, I agree with that. The question for me is, with the people I currently have, let's say that we achieve like general intelligence benchmark with AI, and let's say that the apps that are already bringing in AI will streamline things to the point where
they're as good as a human.
They're as good as a human or better, right? So a lot of the work that we do today won't exist, right? And the thing that sits with me is I'm comfortable navigating that space myself. I'm comfortable applying AI tools to be able to accelerate the work that I do. I'm comfortable helping other people do the same thing. There's a space there at the moment. The challenge and the gap is, how do I bring my team along that journey as well?
Maybe you can't.
Yeah.
Why does it resolve to you having to do that? This is what I mean about strategic goal, 3 to 5 year goal. Who's the market? How do you serve them uniquely and valuably? What are the pathways? What's the most viable pathway? What's going to get you there with most certainty? That's the most viable pathway. Maybe you need to retool the people. In other words, reskill them. Maybe you need to replace the people. And maybe you need to replace them with other people. Again, let's just run down the community thing. If you're running a community-based organisation, you don't need bookkeepers. You need community event organisers. That's different to bookkeepers. So I don't think you're going to reposition a person offshore doing bookkeeping to be a community event organiser.
No.
I don't know. I just don't know the end game. That's why the end game piece is so damn important. Because understanding that unique and valuable for a particular market, so important.
And that's my where my gut sits, is that I won't be able to. That there'll be a certain transitional period where we'll go as far as we can with the people we have, and we need to move with the times and transition. And that'll mean letting go of everyone.
What happens otherwise?
Yeah.
You don't have a business.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You can't stand in front of a tsunami and try to yell it back. Well, that's a difficult thing to do. I was talking to AJ, who's doing the filming, about his business. I don't think it's inconceivable to say that in the next 3 to 5 years, AI will be able to produce content that is indistinguishable from human form. But now let's look back. Music has been produced by computers since what, 1990? We know human music from digital music. You can pick it. And that's very, very advanced digital signal processors, all these things. We know you can pick it. The music sector, there is no economic upside in selling albums or singles anymore. It's gone. No one makes meaningful money from that. They make it from concerts. Ed Sheeran makes a lot of money on concert tours. Taylor Swift, the old bands like Kiss and Rolling Stones, and they're all touring acts now. They've repositioned from doing concerts to promote albums. They're now producing albums to promote concerts. Well, they're not even albums, realistically. They're just kind of a collection of singles. You think back in the 70s and 80s, an album had a story and the songs were sequenced in a particular order and all these sorts of things. All that's out the door now because singles are what matters, and the singles promote the concert. And the concerts are where all the monies are being made, which is what? A human experience. So bookkeeping will still be done. But there has to be a human thing. I don't know what it is, but there has to be a human element of that to deal with the business owner, to show them something, which is a human talking to them.
Yeah.
I would just avoid this kind of you put it in the email, everyone says reposition yourself to be, what is it, a trusted advisor.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That drives me bonkers.
Well, a trusted advisor of what?
Yeah.
Advising on what?
Yeah.
To me, this community thing has the same thing. The devil's in the detail. It's really digging in, understanding it. I'd suspect you'd find that spinning up a community versus this kind of Palantir style model, maybe the Palantir style model is the more appropriate one for you rather than the community style. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, the community style model wouldn't work with the existing model that we have. They're completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
so
membership or whatever you want to call it.
We wouldn't be able to do it with the people we have.
So it's a big change.
Yeah, it'd be
maybe
completely
there's some
revamping
sort of
the business.
Palantir style thing, which is turning it into a really, really high quality, financial AI consulting business or something. I don't know, but I think what you might not understand is your level of expertise and comfort around this stuff is probably 2 orders of magnitude, 3 orders of magnitude greater than the average bear. I think people are still stuck in using ChatGPT thinking that they're AI native. That's kind of yesterday's stuff.
I always believe that that's the key anyway, is that from an embracing change perspective, as long as we're 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of everybody else, there's room, there's a business there because you simply are the shepherd guiding people through that process. And as long as we're keeping up, we'll always be okay. It's just there will be
Changes.
Yeah.
But like, I would really look at some of the Alex Karp interviews about the Palantir business. He actually said it's a people business. Like, that to me was kind of like, that's a very interesting. Like Alex Karp, the guy that runs Palantir, he's talking about it being a people business. Yeah, I'd be kind of having a look at those sorts of things if I was you, after I'd done the where am I going? Why?
Yeah.
Because that's the why.
Yeah.
And you think about anyone like Marcus Aurelius, you think about Napoleon, you think about all these great military leaders of the past. We're going there. What did Napoleon say? People will lay their lives down for a piece of coloured ribbon. It's a bit the same. Like, people will lay their lives down for you saying, we're going there. People want direction. They love the idea of we're going somewhere. Otherwise, we're just doing the doing. And doing the doing is not going to be done anymore. Like, we've got to kind of think about that the bigger piece. Inspire our shared vision. One of the key disciplines of leadership. Like, if you don't inspire that shared vision, people just sort of sit there and
you need everyone on the same page.
do the basics. Yeah. What, you had a whole bunch of other questions. You want to fire a few of those at me?
It was mostly
Have a look
around.
at your computer if you want. Are you doing the thing?
It's all right, mate. It was mostly around that transitional change and navigating that. So, having, from a business model perspective, having a team that is predominantly offshore and having a team that are very good for what the business needs right now, but may not be good for what's coming, right? We're looking towards developing stronger relationships with clients and businesses. Having people local to the business who can eyeball people is a better model, right? So the questions that I have around the business are around this sense of who do we have today? How far, can we transition them forward to reskill, to move into the type of work that we want to be doing? And then in the back of my mind is also, is that even feasible, right? Where's the natural limit or the natural ceiling in what is possible with this particular team? And at what point do I go, you know what, need a different team, need a different group of people for where we want to go, in terms of...
I think you'll weed the garden and prune the trees as you go.
Yeah.
But let me run the risk of sounding repetitive. Strategic goal, unique value for a market, most viable pathway, annual plan, quarterly plan. It all spills from the 3-year endpoint, because where you want radical change, you must provide radical stability. I don't think it's going to be a situation like Amazon or Atlassian or Facebook, where you wake up and say, we're just going to drill 16,000 staff out the door.
No.
And I did read an internally leaked memo from Amazon that said it had nothing to do with AI. The cost of capital in the US has gone up so radically, they can't afford those staff. So they're just using AI as cover fire. Now, I don't know, the truth's somewhere in the middle of that, right? Who cares? I don't think your business is going to be a situation where you wake up and just drill, 20 of your 30 staff.
No.
I think you'll find over time, you either grow to the extent that the 30 staff continue what they're doing and you're just adding a different mix beyond it, or you just slowly transition people out of whatever it is that you decide is not part of your business going forward.
So the work at the moment is in giving people space to grow, to experiment with different tools and seeing what falls out the other side. So taking a hard look at which people are leaning into change, that have the capacity to move in the direction we want, and allowing the people that don't, support them as best we can, but also making a call at some point in terms of, this person won't make it for where we want to get to. So I think there will be a natural attrition rather than a deep cut. And as you mentioned earlier, change is slow. Change is always slower than what we think it's going to be anyway. And so as much as I want to get to this particular point in the next 2 years with the team to reskill them to be ahead of the curve is also a lot slower than, it's always a lot slower. Case in point, in 2016, Rod Drury, who's the CEO, or was the CEO, the founder of Xero, was talking about how AI was the future in 2016, and that there was the first implementation of AI in Xero at that point in time, and it was useless. And he's like, I see a world where 90% of transactions in the next couple of years, he said 5 years, in the next 5 years, 90% of transactions will be automated. We're 10 years down the line and they're still only getting close to that point where that might be a reality. So change is always, in my mind, twice as slow as it is. It's just getting faster. Yeah. The rate is getting faster.
Yeah. It's interesting, mate. At uni, I coded in Lisp.
Hey.
Which was like an AI language from, I think Noah was having some help building his Ark when by writing some Lisp. And like you type in the most ridiculously rudimentary query to your Lisp code, like this is a cat. Like you describe the cat and then you'd ask it questions. So like its corpus of knowledge was like 4 lines. Each time you'd type something in, it'd be like a good solid minute between hitting enter and a response coming back. To now, like I did a thing yesterday for a client. I wanted to just provide some basic documentation for them, and I wanted it in their branding. I got the sales guy to send me a sales presentation document. I said to my chosen AI tool, pull apart the XML in this document and regenerate a Word version of this so I can create some documents and now learn that. And if I want to do anything with that client, I just go use this skill to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's mind-bogglingly how powerful it is. And then I'm looking at like chaining skills and creating plugins, which is getting more and more towards agentic and scheduling them through cron jobs and all of these sorts of things that you can do. But like at the end of the day, I look at the output and I go, it's okay. It's not my standard. Humans love scarcity. So all this like jibber jabber around scarcity is going to disappear. We're going to live in a world of global abundance. Well, okay, clothing has been in a world of abundance for 100 years now? And we still create scarcity. Like a Balenciaga t-shirt is scarce, but it's not. It's just a stupid $2 t-shirt with the word Balenciaga written on the front and they charge $700 for it. So we make scarcity. A Louis Vuitton handbag is not scarce. A Rolex watch is not scarce, but somehow they're made to be scarce. Diamonds are not scarce. There's more diamonds in the world that can satisfy the consumer demand, I think, by 3. Yet we still have this idea that diamonds are scarce. So there is a very clear human psychological need for scarcity, which kind of lends you towards artisanal, human crafted or handcrafted, craftsman-like. And I think that's going to start leaking into the world of professional services, being like a craftsman in professional services versus some, automated bot.
Yeah, it's hard to see a world of craftsman bookkeeping, but there's definitely a world within that to support people through
something like the craftsman-like approach to it, maybe using the tools, but there's definitely a craftsman, something being human crafted has something unique, which therefore is scarce. Because again, look at Louis Vuitton handbags are not crafted by anyone. Right? They're crafted in a factory. They're still scarce. And I look at the textile sector, which is the very first kind of like horseman of the apocalypse, the automation apocalypse was, automated looming of textiles. I don't know if you're familiar with the Luddites. The Luddites were the people that used to hand loom the textiles, right? And they railed against the idea of an automated looming machine, and they used to smash up the looms and stuff. And then in the end, the owners of the looming machines, automated looming machines, acquiesced. And these people, the Luddites, used to do this thing where they'd lay their hands, like they just put their hands over it and say, yes, the textile is wonderful. No one makes cloth. No one makes cotton sheets anymore. No one makes cotton, reels of cotton. No one makes reels of linen. No one makes reels of wool or anything like that. But in the industry, I would say bookkeeping is to textiles as hand loomers are to the art of bookkeeping, right? But there's still artisanal things that happen even in the textiles and clothing sector. There's a lot of artisanal, like it's a big part of it.
The sweet spot for us at the moment is, and the strengths of the team are in being able to diagnose problems that no one else can solve, right? And that's the key. That's the stuff we do really, really well.
Which is humans solving human complexity.
Yeah.
So, mate, before we wrap up, I like people to take action. So it's all well and good to sit around and have a chin wag, but taking some action is a really important thing. If you were to consider the entire conversation we had today, what's the one or two things that you can walk out of today's conversation and say, this is something I'm going to do?
The two things for me would be, like the penny drop moment earlier was around reframing the theme of our year around excellence to be around world class as a more objective target to aim for, something that we can work towards. I think that's really important for the team to understand what we're about, what our goal is. And the second thing is being clear in myself in what I want for the business and what the goal is for the business, to be able to paint that picture for the team, to be able to bring them along that journey and potentially not, depend on how things pan out.
Excellent. Good. I hope you implement those things, mate.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Well, Andrew, thanks for coming along today. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too.
I like our chats. They're always business philosophical, which is nice. Yeah, I think it's been a really interesting and unorthodox conversation. But I do think it's a really important topic for people to consider, because it's kind of like you're at the front line of risk in terms of industries that are prospectively going to be smashed up a bit by this. I think having someone who comes along and asks questions about how to respond through the lens of business is really good for the people that watch this. So thanks very much, mate. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.